All right, if this doesn't work, we're going to Zoom.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. There you go, brother. No, how you been, man?
Good, yourself?
Been good, dude. I've just been not lifting as heavy quite as I once did, but it's all good. I'm okay with it. I saw you just had a meet.
Yeah. Yeah, this
So how did
past
that go?
Saturday. Went good, man. Really good, actually.
Wasn't it like
rare
a PR
when,
total?
yeah, it was. PR total. Yep.
So what'd you end up hitting? Because I saw the videos. I mean, I know what you hit, but just kind of break it down because I know it was about a 10-pound PR total from one you did, I think, like a year and a half ago. And it's kind of
Correct.
crazy because you're still progressing and you've been in the sport for 20 years. But
Yeah, still progressing, man. Still trying to kick ass, But yeah, meet went really well. Opened really conservative, 760, and then jumped to a 810 on my second. And that moved really well. That felt just as good as the 760, honestly. And then on my third, we went for trying to go for a total. So I went for 860. And I'm not sure if it was the extra weight or if the bar just sunk into me more, but they couldn't get the rack to pull out all the way. And it ended up pulling me forward, unfortunately. And when I finally got up with the weight, I could tell it was like uneven in my back. So the whole way down, I could feel like I'm forward, unfortunately, on my toes, but I should be sitting back more. And I gave it a run, man. It pulled me forward when I was coming up with it, unfortunately. So you win some, you lose some, and unfortunately, you can't re-rack it once you get the squat command. It's your lift, so it's just one of them things.
yeah, that was a close one. So if you had gotten that, theoretically, your total would have been about 2120, which would be massive PR. So you really had 2100 in you. You just kind of went for it on the squat.
Right. Yeah, we just stuck to our numbers. Yeah, it was just a numbers game. 860 squat, we were going to go for a 440 bench and the 804 pull, something like that. So
yeah, I watched it just back. So you hit 810 squat, 445 bench, and then 810 815 deadlift
for the PR total. So,
well, I mean, as I said, like you've been in the sport, you've been competing for almost 20 years. I look back on it. I think the first meet you did, 2004. Like, how have you been able to kind of keep it going this long?
Man, dude, I've had my ups and downs, plenty of injuries, when you're pushing the envelope. But the biggest thing, man, is just kind of listen to your body, honestly, and helps have you a coach, someone to like, from the outside looking in, telling you, when you need to back off and, when to push it. And being sponsored, man, you know how it goes. It's always being pushed to do better and push product. And that's where I got injured, man, really trying to push the sponsorships and lift for companies that, want you to push their name, and then the long run you get injured, they don't have your back. It's like, who are you again?
Yeah, that's a real thing where it's the pressure of sponsorships. You always almost have to be peaking year round.
Literally all the time. And it's like, it's impossible. You can't stay peak forever, man. It just doesn't. I don't care what you're running. It's impossible.
See, guys, that's the kind of the downside of sponsors. Like, it's different than affiliates. I know a lot of people, I have affiliates, everybody's affiliates, where it's like, use my code 10% off. That's not a sponsorship necessarily, but like a real sponsorship, like, we were all, like with Animal and stuff. And that just, they push you to like, you got to be competing all the time. You got to be peaking all the time. You got to be posting all the time. So if there's nothing good to post, it's like, you're not of use to the company. And that was a big thing, I know. So it just gets difficult where there's always these expectations. Yep. I mean, do you have to just kind of, did you get away from sponsorships because of that? Did you shy away from it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. For the ones where they're making you perform to bring them an income. Yeah. I'm like, that's not for me, man. I'm not putting my body to the ringer anymore like that. It's just not worth it. I'm going to compete on my terms when I'm ready and when I'm feeling up to it. So I went from doing like a 1 meet a month, it was like, down to I compete maybe once a year now, once or twice. So,
well, don't you think as you get older too, you're like, you can't compete as often?
Dude, hell no. It's there's no way. I need the recovery. Me personally, it's just people are blown away when like, what do you train 6 days a week? I'm like, no, 3. That's all I train, 3 days a week. That's it.
I think that's the big thing. As you get older, I mean, how old are you right now?
I'll be 36 this year.
Okay, so I'm going to be 32 in a couple months. And I remember back in the day just like training recklessly 5-6 days a week, right?
Yeah,
maxing out all the time. Yeah, I mean, that was what we did. And now it's like, let me go in conservatively and train 3 days a week, same kind of thing. and just
for sure. Same intensity 3 days a week, but yeah, the extra rest helps dramatically.
Yeah, I almost feel like that's a necessity though. As you get older, it's just one of those things you have to do. Now, going back to the sponsorships too. The other thing I think people don't realize is it's not what you think it is. Like, it's not like a ton of money to where it's like paying your bills. It's just a little extra, I think.
I guess it depends what company you're with.
Well, that's true. It depends on how good, but most of the sponsorships,
sure, most, yeah, I'd say most, yeah, it's chump change. It's enough for you to buy a candy bar, man. I mean, it's nothing crazy, and the amount of work they expect out of you is not worth it, in my opinion. So, but I will say, when we're with other companies or bigger ones, in a sense, the salaries are pretty substantial compared to what Animal had to offer.
That doesn't surprise me. But I mean, I appreciate my time with Animal, but I want to say at the peak, what was it? I was getting $300 a month plus supplements, and then obviously, so like a lot of people would take that. I'm not complaining about it, but it's not enough to change your life. $300.
Right.
They would pay like $1,000 if you do 3 meets a year. They pay you $3,000, so like $1,000 for each meet. That was the thing. And I was with them for like 5 years, but that was only for 2 years. And then the other years, it's almost like if you're getting better, they'll keep, obviously upping the ante. But if you fall off at all, they'll drop off their offers to you. But I'm sure like Redcon is quite a bit, because Redcon for Dallas. Yeah, Redcon, you know about them.
Yeah, I was with Redcon. I was actually before Redcon was BSN, and that was a really big one.
BSN was good?
BSN was phenomenal. Yeah, you could literally make a real salary with them, and quit your full-time job and work just being a sponsored athlete. So.
Wow. How long were you with BSN?
2 years.
Yep. Was it like a yearly contract?
No, I had a 5-year contract, actually. And then they ended up getting bought out, actually. And it went real corporate, changed a lot, actually. And I felt like it just lost its soul, man. Just wasn't the same.
I don't even
people
hear
that
about
were, the people that were like calling the shots, they didn't even work out, dude. They're just guys in suits and ties and had no interest in their athletes. Just push product, make more money. It's pretty much how it goes. Not, hey, how you doing? They didn't even know you by first name. They're like, hey, who are you again? Versus like
where's
the other
headquarters.
There's one here actually in Downers Grove, where I am. So
I feel like
I think they have another one as well. I'm not sure, but I know there's the one main one here where I'm at.
Yeah, I know with Animal too. They've cut out the cage. They don't go to the Arnold. They dropped all the powerlifters except for Dan and Andrew Herbert. So they've like completely gotten away from that as far as sponsored athletes and such.
Right.
I think the only guy they really push is Evan Centopani, but it used to be they had a whole roster of guys, and the cage was a big deal, and now that's gone. So it's kind of wild.
They kind of made the whole Arnold. It's this year, I'll tell you, the Arnold was not the same. I was there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the busiest day seemed like an off day on a Friday. It just usually you're literally elbow to elbow with everyone, bumping everyone, and dude, it was crazy. Saturday, you could walk in the aisles, tons of room, tons of companies pulled out. I noticed a lot of big names not there. Redcon 1 wasn't there. BSM wasn't there. BPI Sports. Slingshot was gone. Gosh, just so many companies. It was just pretty vacant in a lot of spots. It didn't seem like the original Arnold that we grew up going to.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if I think I can say it, but I feel like COVID kind of like, ruined the Arnold. Because before that, it was still big and the cage and all that. And then after that, a lot of the companies were like, we're not going to do this anymore. We don't need to. Because the Arnold was pretty much out of the picture for like 2 years. And I think that killed a lot of it off.
I agree. Yeah, it's definitely changed. Hopefully it grows and, we'll see.
I haven't been there in like 3 years. So I've been out of the loop for a while. I went like 5 years in a row. And the last 3 years, I'm just like, nah, I'm good. Once you've seen it, it's very cool, but I feel like I've seen it now. And it's like you used to say, it was wall to freaking wall. Like you'd be jam-packed in.
Yeah, it was hard to get around.
On a Saturday.
Yeah. This time around, you could run freely wherever you want.
Wow.
But, the cage was everything, dude. The cage is something you have to experience for yourself. You've done it. It's an amazing amazing thing to do. The energy is just unreal. It's unmatched, honestly.
Yeah, the cage was a huge highlight for me of obviously my time lifting, and there were people just lining it all the way out like a sea.
For sure. I remember people getting on top of people's shoulders just to look in, like, holy crap.
Yeah, and what guys don't realize is we didn't even get that kind of crowds for like big powerlifting meets. There were crowds like that.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, wow, like, yeah, the cage was something else, man, no doubt. Phenomenal.
No, I mean, powerlifting shifted so much, obviously. Like, I feel like when we were back in that 2010 era, it was pre-Instagram, pre all the social media. It was before all of that. And it's changed so much. Like, it's a whole different ballgame. I mean, how do you feel powerlifting is now compared to how it was back then?
Definitely a lot different for sure. I kind of feel like we pioneered a lot of the stuff, actually. We were recording our videos back then just to, critique our own forms and look from different angles. And, all we had was YouTube back then, and there really wasn't a lot on YouTube, to be honest with you. I remember growing up, I'd seen a few people deadlifting, squatting, and it was nothing crazy, just normal numbers. Then you came along, we saw all your crazy deadlift videos, and, it was kind of cool. Like, yeah, that's what we're about. And then, George Lehman got on there, just kind of paved the way, and that's what we did. We kind of pioneered the whole raw thing, and here we are, still going with it. But, yeah, I feel like it's a whole different era now, though, completely different. And a lot of people that are new today don't know the lineage behind it and the history.
I mean, what would you say is like the golden era of powerlifting?
Oh, man, I think we lived it, dude. I think we lived it. That Mark Bell meet, man, that was something else. That backyard meet, you had the best of the best. It was sick. It really was.
That meet was so much fun. I have so many memories from that with all the guys, and it's so wild. I remember I pinned so much Tren before that flight to Sacramento. I was like, well, I'm not going to take it on the plane. So I think the flight was Thursday in the early morning. I'm like, I'm going to pin all my Tren before I leave. And that was hilarious. Yeah. I remember too. Do you remember the Golden Corral?
Yes.
We'd be at the Golden Corral for like 3 hours, just in this back banquet room they put us at. And we would just get a bunch of plates, and then we'd take like a 30-minute break and go get more plates.
So we'd keep eating, man. Good times. Good times.
What surprised me about that, too, was actually I think Hickson ate more than you and Eric.
Hickson, what? Yeah, that guy had 2 hollow legs, man. He was something else.
He was out eating everybody at the table, and he was like 250.
He had a bottomless pit. Yeah, Hickson was cool as hell, man. Missed the guy dearly. Really good dude.
It's wild to think back because I remember lifting with him, and I remember the 855 deadlift he tried, and where he was yelling on all his warm-ups. He was going easy, and and the speed in which he pulled. I mean, all of you guys, we were like, I talk about it, and I'm like, okay, at Pro Gym when we would have those Saturday morning deadlifts, and it was mainly you guys, but I would come down every once in a while. Like, it was like a competition who could pull the fastest on the warm-ups.
I remember
that was kind of what we did. We just go plate flips all the way up 135 up to 800, and it would just be who can pull 405 the fastest, 495, throw the bar down.
Yep, that's true. It was good times, man. And you and Hickson definitely had a rivalry going on.
Hickson's the one who got me into gear.
Gotcha.
I saw Hickson. I was like, holy crap, he's blowing up. He pulled that 725 where his nose was bleeding all over.
Yes.
And he blew past me, and I was like, what the heck is going on? I was so mad. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I'm taking Superdrol and testing stuff. I think he was only Superdrol at that point. He tried test later on, but I was like, I'm not I got to compete with this guy because we're like the same age. So then I started, hopping on test and D-ball, and we went kind of back and forth. But it was a rivalry, but it was good. It was good.
Absolutely. They're all in good fun, man. Those are some of the most epicest moments, man. I love them every minute. I wish I could go back and relive them. They're just badass, awesome moments. I remember Bros versus Pros? That was pretty fun.
Yeah, Bros versus Pros with Derek Poundstone watching. I remember that.
Yep. That was a good one there.
There's been so many gyms, Pro Gym, Jacked.
Yep.
I haven't been to the newer ones, but I don't even know if I ever went to Barbell Central. I think I was gone. I was out of there by then. Headed south.
Yep. Yeah, you were gone by then at that point. Yeah.
You remember all those Dubuque meets too?
Yes, every one of them. Good times.
I kind of miss it. It was just a quick drive down from Madison, and it was Grand Harbor Resort.
Yep. Good old UPA meets.
Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
What advice would you give to like a beginner lifter? Because I've been kind of talking about this on the channel where I'm like, it's never too late to start. So I'm not even going to box it into saying the younger lifters, a younger lifter. I'm going to say like a beginner lifter. What would you tell them? What kind of advice would you give?
For beginner, I would highly recommend form and technique is everything. Dial in your form and technique. The weights will come later. You see all these beginners. I feel like they look up to too many other people online and they want to be like them. That's great. That's cool to have an idol, but I feel like you watch them, they try to push heavy weight and their form's breaking down and they pick up these bad habits. And then, year goes by, 2 years, and now they're complaining about back pain or whatever it is. And now they develop these bad habits that they can't break. They can't get away from it. And I feel like that either breaks them and they're here today, gone tomorrow, or they develop some serious injury and now they hate the sport and talk bad about it. And it's like, no, you didn't do things right. You didn't listen to your body. You didn't back off. You didn't learn your form technique. You didn't dial it in. So I do see that quite often, actually. And I try warning, as many people as I see, like, hey, get your form and technique dialed in before anything. That's the one thing my father instilled into me and my brother, and I preach it on, man. It's form technique. The weights will come after. It's very easy to get strong, but maintaining it and staying healthy, that's the hard, tricky part.
I think that's good advice because all of you guys have been around for so long, still going. Like we talked about 20 years later, still hitting PR totals.
Yep, still going. My brother's just getting back into it. So,
yeah, I mean, all of you guys have still been pushing. So that's pretty impressive to see. Like I have so many injuries from the crazy ways I trained. And I didn't really adhere to that advice. But do you think guys are just not patient enough either?
Absolutely. I feel like patience is one thing that they don't have. They want to be the next big thing. And, some people are just freakishly genetically gifted and they're able to advance and make these huge gains and others aren't. Like me, I had to work my ass off every step of the way for the next 10 pounds, 5 pounds, just keep pushing. That's just the way it is. You'll get there. Just keep climbing. Don't quit, but don't sacrifice your form over it. I just wouldn't recommend it.
Well, I mean, when you were first in the gym, what sort of numbers were you hitting starting out? And what age was that?
So I started around age 10, and it was just basically broomstick squats, broomstick bar benching, just learning the basics, honestly. And then, as we got into our teenage years, we got more serious with it, but we were trying to juggle wrestling and powerlifting. So it was kind of hard to do both. And then we just got to the point where we're like, screw it, we just want to powerlift. We were tired of having to cut weight and cut our bodies back. And my dad's like, no, man, let your bodies grow. I don't want you guys holding yourselves back. So we gave up the one and kept pursuing powerlifting. And I want to say my first meet in 2004, so I was probably 16. I believe it was a 315 squat, probably around a 215 bench and a 500 pull, somewhere around there, 475 give or take. And I was 165 weight class. So, wow. Again, nothing crazy impressive. I know there's females out there doing that like nothing nowadays, but that's where I started. And look at me now. You could definitely make those gains and get to a 1,000-pound total, 1,500-pound total, 2,000-pound total. Just you've got to climb the ropes, man. No one just goes from 0 to 2,000 total overnight. It doesn't happen.
And that's the thing. I think what you said about people, these guys coming up, look at the lifters they see online and they want to be that. And so they have no patience because they want to just jump to those numbers right away. When in reality, it doesn't really work like that. Just as you said, you have to slowly chip away. That's the key.
Absolutely. I agree. I believe in pushing your body as hard as you can for as long as you can, but, good form, good technique. And whenever you maximize your potential and you want to switch into the dark side, that's up to you.
Yeah, I think I would have done my cycles differently, obviously, instead of just like pinning Tren pretty quickly and taking a lot of stuff. But it is what it is. It's a learning curve. Obviously, there's more information out there now too.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I hate to see all these newcomers, man. They want to hop on gear right away. I'm like, slow down, man. You're young. What are you, 20 years old? You have all the testosterone in the world still. I'm sure your nanograms per deciliter is still over 1,000 plus. So you're good. Just push it, eat, get your protein in. And they all want to jump on Tren. Like, no, not a beginner drug. No.
Did you ever feel the Tren side effects?
Oh God, I hate Tren, dude. I can't stand Tren. I cannot stand it. The insomnia, the night sweats, the freaking heartburn. Oh, no thanks. I'm good.
What?
The coughing and pinning. That's the worst.
Did you get the aggression and like rage on it?
Not so much from Tren, but Halo would hit it. That was something else. Or check drops.
Wait. All right, let's hear about the Halo and the check drops, because I have my experiences with them as well, but I want to hear yours.
Oh, dude, yeah, definitely. Short temper on Halo or check drops for sure. I like them for meat only. That's the only time I'd run them, man. Like a week out from the meet, get on them. And I remember like missing a lift, no bullshit, coming back, taking a check drop and just nailing it just from the aggression itself. Like, it's something else. I feel like you're able to tap into something that isn't normally there in a sense until you're like on this, and it lets you tap into some other straight source that's there. I don't know. I've experienced it a few times. Like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I have a similar experience where the combination of check drops and Adderall, dude, that dialed me in. That dialed me in to where, like, whatever weight was on the bar, it was going down.
Exactly.
That was
for sure.
See, Halo, though, I wasn't a big fan of. It didn't give me the aggression and rage of the like Tren. Tren was like, oh, not even close. But Halo, maybe, for you got that?
Maybe it didn't take enough. I wasn't a big Tren fan user, man. I'll be honest. It just wasn't my thing. I just hated the sides of it.
What was the worst side?
The sleep, man. Just not being able to sleep. That's one thing I would hate. Just not being able to sleep. Just sit there, toss and turn, and then burning up, man. You'd wake up and there's like a puddle in the bed. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I piss myself. I'm just sweating.
See, I could sleep, but I would get night sweats. Not that bad, but I would get night sweats and I could sleep. But it was everything else. It was, it was interesting. I mean, I'm sure you've seen me quite a few times, like trend out of my mind, but
that's the best part of me.
Back in
the day, yeah, man. Doing all those crazy squatting sets, man. You were doing small off for a while. Oh man, good times.
See, that was the backyard meet of the century. Yep. Going into that, I didn't even know what like knee sleeves were and stuff. I was just like, all right.
No, you were bare knee. I remember always. I know you tried wraps a few times and you did better without them, actually.
Well, I think at the super training meet, like one of you guys talked me into wearing a belt or something. I don't know, because I wasn't going to do that either.
Yeah, you're always beltless.
Yeah, I didn't, but I just didn't know what I was doing. I just was like, all right, I'll just, like I did high bar. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. That was fun. I mean, so many of those guys, people don't even know who they are anymore. Like, what the heck ever happened to Brent Willis?
Yeah, Brent Willis. That guy was a monster. Huge puller. I don't know. Good question. Just fell off the planet. I don't even know if he has a social media. I don't know. Haven't seen him. Nothing.
No, I've tried to look. You can't find anything about him online. So it's like, well, he pulled the 882 deadlift of 400 kilo at the Olympia, and then there's no other competition history of him, and you can't find any trace of him online. So it's really strange. But like I know guys, like Derek Kendall was kind of the same way. He just disappeared.
Yeah, he got more back into the bodybuilding aspect of things. Another guy, I mean, he always getting hurt, man, and always too much Tren. You got to back off it, man. It will dry you out.
You got hurt a lot from Tren?
I would say so. He's always popping something, a quad or a lat, or remember at Rum, I believe he stepped forward and popped his quad or something, and hate to see it because the guy was brutally strong, just a monster.
Yeah, that's the thing with Tren. I would have the same experience where there was always something that was tearing. It was very common. and you'd be out a month then, and then you'd have to build back up, and it was just a nightmare. But yeah, Raw Unity was so much fun. Backyard Meet of the Century, and all those meets have kind of disappeared now. But that was I remember Urbank.
Yep,
he kind of disappeared too. Vince Urbank. I don't know what happened to him either.
Not sure. Another big puller.
George, I've talked to, but he's just not interested in getting back into lifting too hard. So, you ever talked to George?
He's kind of doing his own thing now. Yeah, and was he with real estate now or something? Or
I think he's just fine to be. I don't think he ever wanted to be in the spotlight. I think it just kind of happened, and then he was happy to just kind of wander off and not have any attention, because he really doesn't like attention at all, as you know.
Right. We trained with him back in the day. Yeah, he's just a freak, dude. Just a freak.
How long did he move up to Illinois for? Because he was in Florida and then he moved up to Illinois.
He was with us for a while. Gosh, we're going back some years, man. But yeah, I remember having him around for at least a year, I want to say. We were always training, pulling, squatting. And then, he kind of went his own way. He was up here with his girlfriend at the time. And dude, he was just doing freakish numbers that even today's standards are still extremely respectable. Like repping 800 for, 8 reps or something stupid. I mean, strong dude.
Who was the craziest person you ever trained with?
I don't know. It's a good one. I'd have to say probably you, man. Most hype up, but at least, I don't know. It was good to see you throw down, man. You brought all the energy. You bring the crew. It'd be you and Dan Pashhawk and the DMX music, and we were good to go, dude.
Oh my gosh, those were the days. Really, those pro gym sessions. I wish we could have filmed those and put them on DVD. It was unreal. Sure. But there's some on YouTube, obviously. But
there's a few, yeah. There's a few.
You remember Hickson was always putting Gucci Mane on, that was that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yep.
That was his go-to. Oh man, he was good.
You have Ernie Frantz there too, and he's like, "What is this shit? What are we listening to?" Poor guy.
Yeah, Ernie. He was probably, what was he, 60, late 60s at the time?
Gosh, probably somewhere in the 70s. I'd have to say. I mean, it was a while back, but yes.
Yeah, he would come in and watch us, and I have no clue what he was thinking of all that. But there were so many guys who would come in and out as well. We'd have guys kind of pop into the crew, and then they'd be. But those were the nostalgia is real. Absolutely. I remember that so much. Seems like 100 years ago. Some of the best times, though, for real. Just throwing down on a deadlift day. It'd be 6 hours in the gym.
There were long sessions, yeah. And then I know you had to drive back to Madison, so
it wasn't bad though. It was an hour and 45, I want to say, and I don't know. It's just some of the craziest moments looking back on them.
Absolutely.
Now, what's your favorite moment that you've had in the sport of powerlifting?
Probably when I took the 198 world record total in 2014. That was probably my all-time achievement. And a lot of people don't know, but I was actually injured at that meet, man. I was just freaking on Vicodins and Voltaren, just trying to make it through because my back was pretty jacked up at that point. And it's just something I really wanted, chasing that total. And I was able to achieve it, but at the cost of ruining my body, man. Because after then, it was all downhill for me for the next couple of years. I just could not recover. I just kept going backwards and backwards and backwards. And that just sucks, man. It really does. To put all that in the line and, your sponsor and all that and pushing the brand and, get a name for yourself. But, is it really worth it then to put your body through that? Because it was many years, man, trying to get fixed and rehabbed, and your sponsors don't have your back for any of the hospital bills, mind you, nothing. It's all you, baby.
So do you think, has it all been worth it?
Definitely, it's been worth it, man. But some things would definitely change. If what I know now versus back then, the sponsorship thing is great, but I wouldn't have let them push me like that. To be honest, I would have done it, like I said, my terms, and I needed to back off a lot more, not compete it so often, so frequently.
Yeah, I think that's something I relate to big time as well, because when I was sponsored, it was the same kind of thing. I was competing, every few months, which is, I look back and I'm like, that's insane. How do you peak that many times? It's not.
Oh, exactly. We were literally doing a lot of the same meets, man, like over and over, and we were getting ready for them all the time. And yeah, you're right, dude. It's next to impossible. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I get it when you're progressing and it's exciting, it's new, but now I'd say like 2 meets a year is adequate.
Yep,
and
I
as
agree.
you get older, I mean, do you ever think you'll segue to just like single lift meets, or are you going to keep pushing full power?
I'm still full power for now, dude. My ultimate goal, dude, like, that I would like to say that I've done is 1,000 kilogram total, 2,200. I'd like to get there at some point. I think it's in the cards for me. I'm going to keep trying, but on my pace, man, and really listen to my body and know when to back off and push. But yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to doing like a deadlift only meet or a squat only meet. I really don't care for the bench. It's really not my favorite lift, but I mean, sure, I'll do one.
Yeah, I just feel like the single lift meets or even the push pull are so much easier on the body compared to full power. After doing heavy squats, bench is always tougher. You feel way more run down. You get the tendonitis in the arms and such from having the weight on your back.
Oh yeah.
And when I've done push pull, it's not at all taxing by comparison.
I agree.
So,
I've done a few Ironmans, but yeah, typically anytime I compete, it's always full power.
I've looked at your open powerlifting history, and you've done like a million meets. I thought I had done a lot, and then I saw yours.
I've actually lost track, and there's actually a few on that they don't even have listed when I was competing in USAPL back in the day. So that was early 04, actually. But yeah.
Yeah, some of mine weren't on there either. Like I did one up in Nova Scotia, and it's not on there. CPF, Canadian Powerlifting Federation. So I was trying to find that, and I was like, "Oh, it's not even up there. What the heck?" I literally lifted with Greg Doucette. Yeah,
that's awesome.
He was not known at all back then. He was just everyone knew him as like the strong bench guy. Like he was like had a really good bench, and that was it. And he wasn't famous at all. And I mean, we didn't talk a whole lot, albeit I was completely. I mean, I was kind of a dickhead at that point because I was on Tren and I just wasn't very personable. So I didn't talk to the guy much, which I regret now. I should have, I wish I would have talked to more people.
That'd be cool if you got him on the channel, though. That'd be pretty cool.
I talked to him once actually on the channel. It was like back last summer, and it was pretty cool. But I mean, you know how it is on Tren. You just get cold and like emotionless almost. You're not really, you're not really into socializing too much. Or that's how it was for me.
Sure. Everyone acts a little bit different with it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Why you always like DECA, didn't you?
My joints, yes. But you can't mix Tren and DECA. That's a big no-no. That doesn't work out either. That's no good.
What happens?
Nothing but gyno side effects, man, and estrogen out the ass. So I guess you could take a faster acting like NPP, I guess would work. I've heard people do that. I just stick to the basics, honestly. Keep it simple. A little bit of test, an oral, a couple weeks out, and pretty good, honestly.
What was your favorite compound? What's your favorite to use?
Favorite, basically just test. So a little bit of test, cement works really well. It's a 19 nor like Tren, but none of the side effects of Tren, like zero. And Super Draw. Those are it, man.
So do you remember the old M-Draw off Amazon?
Yep. Yeah, M-Draw by Competitive Edge Labs, yeah.
Yeah, you could get this stuff right off Amazon.com. You'd pay like $80. You get a bottle of M-Draw Pro Hormones, and it was a Super Draw clone.
Yep.
And that stuff was strong.
Yeah, some of that shit's ridiculous, man. And I swear it was stronger than the real shit. It's insane. Some of those oral pills. Crazy.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. That you could get M-Draw right off Amazon, and it was stronger than everything. It was
literally, yeah, it was. It was ridiculous.
And yeah, mind you, well, it was completely legal to purchase. Like,
yeah, completely purchase them. I remember walking into like a GNC and they had the stuff by Cellucor called P6 Black, which later got popped for having Anadrol 50 in it. Wow. And I remember that stuff was real strong. There were so many hormones back then. You could literally just walk in and buy. What was another one? There was Trenadrol that was out there by Kilo Sports. That was a strong one. What else? M-Draw, Super Draw. Those were the two top ones I always remember that were really potent. Gosh. Man, I'm trying to go back. We're going back so many years, but yeah, all this shit was literally legal. Walk in and buy it right off the shelf, and literally, it's literally as potent as the real shit, if not more potent. It was crazy.
There was not too long ago Super DMZ.
Okay.
That was a kind of Superdrug clone. I think PJ Braun made that when he was with Singerman. I feel like that was theirs. Yeah, it was Singerman and Braun's old company. I don't know if that was Blackstone or before Blackstone.
Yeah, probably before it, yeah.
Whatever company they had before that. But who's like your favorite person that you've met within the sport?
Oh, gosh. And there's been a lot of people, and most of them are actually really cool. Man, probably Ernie Frantz, I have to say. That's the guy like I grew up with and like just kind of like mentored my father as well. And the guy just has the world's biggest heart, man, and just so much knowledge. And, you know, he grew up in a time where there was no like powerlifting equipment. He kind of like engineered it all and invented it, and the squat suits, bench shirts, monolift. And that's just incredible. I feel like he was way ahead of his time, to be honest with you. And he grew up, you know, doing raw and then transitioned into, you know, powerlifting gear. And I think it's really cool. It really is. You know, I've tried lifting in a squat suit before and just, I didn't really care for it, but at least I say I've done it, you know, and it's a whole different ball game for sure.
Well, I know you like using knee wraps. How do you overcome the pain of the knee wraps? Because,
dude, believe it or not, the knee wraps are great, man. I really value my knees, man. That's the one thing I don't want to end up like my dad. You know, he's competed like 100% raw for like 10 years of his career at the beginning, no belt, no wraps. And I remember just hearing his knees, man, it sounded like a grenade went off, and there's just all this grinding, and he had like these floaters in there, and he's had multiple knee surgeries. I want to say like 2 on each knee, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be like that. And that's the one thing he instilled in us when we were getting the power. There's like, save your knees, wear a light wrap. So we were actually wearing like ace bandages when we first started off, and we just kind of stuck with it. But dude, my knees feel great. So to this day, knock on wood, man, my knees are great. When I go raw, like just naked knee, they kind of bug me actually. If I start going above like 600, I definitely feel it. So I'll at least put a sleeve on to keep some heat in the area, and that works pretty well. But man, even these knee sleeves nowadays, I've noticed those things are becoming pretty much like a knee wrap. It seems like I'm just used to these. I have not. I have these old SPD knee sleeves back from 2013 or 14. That's what I wear. They're just enough to keep some heat there, and that's what I use. And the most I've gone up to in a knee sleeve is like 705. I don't push it much above that. That's it. Then I'll throw on a wrap always.
Yeah, it's kind of funny now to see people like really struggling to get knee sleeves on, especially these the new Titan sleeves. Those things are crazy. Or Titan, not Inzer. Yeah,
Inzer, and I think there is another company that has some sleeves out that are similar. It might be, like you said, Titan. I'm not sure, but I know Inzer for sure is one of them.
Well, now outside of the gym, what kind of stuff do you like to do? What are your hobbies?
Well, I don't have a whole lot of hobbies, but it's powerlifting and family, dude. I have 3 kids, so I've got a 2-year-old. Will be 2 this year, and that keeps me pretty busy. So
yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, he's a year and a half now, and just into everything, man. Literally, just you name it, and I'm sure you can relate.
Yes. My daughter's 11 months old, so it's coming.
Yes.
She's napping right now, but it's she's a bundle of energy.
Yes, that's awesome. But yes, big bundle of energy and keep you on your toes, man. It's fun. I really enjoy it. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's great.
Are you still into cars?
Absolutely, still into cars. Into my daughter's stuff too. She's in the gymnastics, cheerleading, so I'm really always there for her and a lot of her events. In fact, she's got a thing tomorrow I got to be at for one of her cheerleading events. So pretty tied up with, you know, like I said, family stuff pretty much.
What do you think is, I mean, what's like your main, do you have any like life goals or anything you'd like to do with your life or anything outside of powerlifting?
As of right now, just raise my family in a sense and make sure, you know, they're heading the right path to what they need. And I've got a son now in college, so just be the best dad that I can be at this point. And then maybe at some point it'd be nice to travel around more and see more of the United States and stuff. That's one great thing about powerlifting. You know, I got to say I've seen quite a bit, with being sponsored and traveling to so many states, but there's still other places I still want to visit.
What are the main places you'd want to go to?
I'd love to go to Egypt at some point.
See the pyramids?
Yeah, I'd love to see the pyramids. That's something I've always wanted to do.
Any other places?
Probably Australia at some point. My brother's been there numerous times. I've never been there. I heard it's just beautiful. I'd like to check it out at some point.
See, that's crazy. For me, it's all like within the U.S. I've been to France and Canada and such, and it was amazing. The experiences were amazing. I'm not big into like super long flights, but I still want to go see Montana, go back to Idaho.
Okay.
I love Wyoming. There's just no traffic. It's gorgeous. There's not a whole lot of tourists. That's probably my favorite place in the U.S. right now. I want to get out there again next summer, but that's one of my favorites. How has your life changed though? Like with kids? I mean, for me, it feels like everything changed in the last year. But how about for you?
No, so a lot of people don't know this, but I had my first son when I just turned 17. So I've been a dad for 18 years now, and it's been a part of me for my whole powerlifting career. Just had to learn to work around it, and go to school still and college and work a full-time job and train at the gym. Try to get the time in. So if you want something bad enough, you're going to find a way to do it. That's what I tell people. I don't want to hear when they say they don't have no time or can't do this or that. Like if you want something bad enough, you'll find the damn time to make it. Even if it's a 45-minute session at the gym, whatever. Like get your ass in there. And I remember doing those type of sessions where I got to run in and run out, man. That's all the time I have. So it's better than nothing. Here we are. So, but throughout the years, it's gotten a lot easier, obviously.
Well, it's just like with anything. As you gain experience, it becomes easier. I think that's one of the changes for me to where I can't have as many marathon long training sessions. It's got to be quick, in and out, get it done, because there's so many other responsibilities to take care of on a given day. And it's also, I have this mindset now where I'm like, I want to be a good father as far as a provider. And I want to make sure, she's raised well in the crazy world we're in, because the world's freaking crazy. And you want to protect them. And I almost, this is the truth. I'm like, when we first found out, that Kelly was pregnant, I was hoping for a boy, in the sense that, passing on your name and stuff like that. And the other reason, the big one, was I feel like with a son, you don't have to worry about them as much as far as like protecting them and all that. So obviously I love my daughter, having my daughter, but you get this fear now where you're like, you feel like you want to protect them, and you have to, so all of a sudden I got to start, practicing how to shoot guns and stuff. And I got to learn all this stuff, because
right with you, man.
It's like the world's insane. So I want to protect her from all the madness. And now I got to become like even more, I can't just be a lifter. I got to become an all around badass to where I can defend,
You always,
because those feelings have never been there. That was not a thing when I was single, or even in relationships. This happened a little bit when I was married, when I got married, a little bit of that, but it's even more with having a daughter. But when I was single, I just was like, oh, it's only me. I'm not worried about myself. Like if something happens to me, whatever, I can defend myself, But now you're vulnerable. You have these vulnerabilities where you have to look out for your family.
Absolutely. Yeah, I relate 100%, man, what you're saying. I vibe with that, and I agree completely. Yep.
So that becomes the thing where you always have that fear in the back of your mind. It's not even like, okay, the world is crazy for me. It's what's it going to be like for her. So
absolutely, yeah, I'm right with you, dude. I've got a daughter that'll be 13 in April, so I totally relate.
Stressful, right?
It is. Yeah, I'm glad she's still daddy's little girl, but at some point, that switches and they want nothing to do with you. You're like, who are you again?
How fast does the time go by?
Dude, in a blink of an eye. I wake up sometimes like, holy shit, like I'm going to have a 13-year-old. I already have an 18-year-old, and now I have a 2-year-old, and it's just like, holy crap. Like, I'm really trying to soak it in and really enjoy the time with my 2-year-old here coming up. Because I didn't have a lot of time when I was younger with, like, my first son. I was trying to juggle school, still work. So it's just kind of nice now. I can go at my pace and spend all this time with my little guy now and watch him grow up and be there more for my daughter as well, and my son now later in life. But it's really hard, man, getting that ball rolling, getting on your feet and living on your own. Because I moved out at 18, and it's not easy, man. It's really difficult, you know.
So you pretty much had to hustle from day one and figure it out.
Day one, yeah. Well, I mean, I've figured out, like, I've had really supportive parents always. My dad's always been there for me, but taught me how to be a man, and, you know, I respect that. I really do. And same with my mom's always been there. They've been big helps in my life, absolutely. Very supportive family. We're a very close family, as you can tell, you know, very close. Lifting definitely has held us together. It's like the one main bond we have and grew up with.
Do you think, I mean, have you faced a lot of adversity then coming up with those challenges?
Especially like growing up, like I grew up in Chicago, so it wasn't like the friendliest place. I've dealt with it all, dude. Gangs, violence, discrimination. I mean, I lived it, dude. And Animal actually did a special on us about that some years back. But yeah, dude, I lived through it all, dude. I can tell you, yeah, it's just I've had some shitty experiences. I had, you know, shitty teachers in the past with school, and, you know, they don't care about you. They're just there to collect a paycheck. And I'm just glad as my dad was able to afford more and get a better career for himself, move us out into the suburbs, and, you know, get a better life for us.
Yeah, I could see where that'd be a big step, and you'd be appreciative of that, to kind of get out of the city and get out to a safer, better environment for you to kind of grow up in. At what age did you move out of Chicago?
At 13.
Okay. What part of Chicago were you in?
So I was on the north side of Chicago.
By Evanston, kind of, or?
Not too far, but I was going to go to Roosevelt High School is where I was supposed to go after I graduated from 8th grade and all that. And it was really shitty school, man, really shitty. Always hearing about, you know, drive-bys and kids getting, you know, beat up, bullied, shootings. And I'm just so glad we're out of there, honestly. It's really not a place to raise a family, I'll be honest with you. I've seen tons of people get shot and mugged. It's not fun.
Wow. I can't even imagine. I grew up, you know, right outside of 30 minutes outside of Madison. So it was pretty sheltered as far as that goes. But I lived in Madison for a little while, at which point I was just, you know, hopped up on Tren, and it didn't even matter. I wasn't scared of anybody at that point. But no, you're still kind of in that Aurora area over there in Illinois?
Yeah. Not too far from Aurora at all.
You like it over there?
It's nice. Yeah, it's peaceful. I don't agree with, like, property taxes around here. They blow. Illinois is very expensive to live here, honestly. I don't know why I stay here sometimes, but yeah, it's where all my family is. But I could always move, like, to Indiana or Wisconsin and save a bunch and get more for my money. But I like being close to family. What can I say? Like, I enjoy my family.
Sure. I get that. It's tough because I've been spread out from my family. My sister's out in Colorado. That's my only sibling. And my parents are still in Wisconsin, albeit they're moving down here in May. So that'll be a big step.
Heck
but
yeah.
I totally relate to that. Yeah, that's going to be cool.
That's awesome. Glad to hear.
Well, I mean, okay, so one last thing I wanted to touch on, and
Sure.
I'll let you get going here, is as far as diet, what's your diet kind of look like?
Mainly just a lot of protein, honestly. I typically try to have at least 3 to 4 meals a day with, you know, juggling everything, but it's usually just high protein. Usually steak, eggs, and a protein shake here or there. Lean chicken, lean ground beef, like 90% is usually what I typically eat. I stay pretty lean year round for the most part.
So you weren't like me where I was eating pies and rice-a-roni, 4-cheese rice-a-roni, and French fries and
not pizza. Like that, no. But it's meat day, man. It's a game on. I'll eat whatever, dude. It's like more junk food, the better.
Oh, I was nothing but junk food back in the day. I would drink the half gallon of juice every day.
Okay. Actually, I remember doing a trip with you to Target while we were in California. I remember this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was just a freak. But I would always get the worst heartburn because if you're drinking a half gallon of fruit juice combined with Tren, yeah, right? Like the heartburn's like, oh my God, dude, killing you.
I remember your shopping cart was full of junk food. Good times.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
I think we ran into
No, go ahead.
I said, I think we ran into Dan Green there too when we were going to Target, or was it his wife Sparkle, one or the other, but we were like in passing.
Yeah. Dan was freaking huge too. Gotta talk to him at some point, but it was wild. I always felt like though that it didn't matter, like for strength. If I'm talking purely for strength, not physique, I always felt like it didn't matter how clean I ate, as long as I got enough calories, the strength will go up.
Sure.
So I would try to eat cleaner with more protein at certain times, and it didn't seem to affect my strength at all, like as opposed to eating whatever I wanted.
Yeah, I've noticed the same. Like, it takes a minute for your body to learn it, but yeah, the cleaner you eat, I noticed the same. Like, strength stays around the same. Really don't notice much of a drop, honestly. Versus like my dad, but he would always tell me if he starts eating really clean, he would notice the strength decrease. So I don't know, just maybe how we metabolize things differently. But same with my brother. He can eat whatever, dude. He's he's got a very fast metabolism. I wish I had what he has, but he can eat whatever, dude, and stays lean. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hickson was the same way. Hickson would be eating fruit snacks and stuff like the rest, Yep.
Yeah, I mean, typically I'll snack on some of that stuff at the gym. If it's a heavy session, I'll bring some Starburst or whatever and, snack on whatever. But, I mean, it's all burned off by the time I'm done lifting.
So what's any meets? Obviously you just got done with the one. You going to do another one this year or give it a while?
Maybe something later this year, yeah. Still want that total. I know there's it's called Surge Pro Meet coming up in September. And he invited me and my brother. So I'm not sure. If my brother decides to do it, I'll help him. It's kind of hard to help each other when you're at a meet. So I might just go there and help him versus us trying to help each other ramp. We're in the same flight typically, so it's next to impossible trying to help each other and ramp each other. And so I'd just be there for him, honestly, if he decides to do it. And then I'll find something maybe in December, right before my birthday, typically.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Obviously you're going to smash it. You could have had 2,100 at this meet. So who knows? 22 might not be that far off as far as the 1,000 kilo goal.
Forward, man. Just listen to my body, keep pushing forward, and definitely helps to have my brother write my programming, and he's looking in and calling the shots and numbers, and he's the one pushing me, so it really helps. I feel like every pro athlete should have a coach to a sense, and it's really hard to train yourself. Ego gets in the way, and you're always going to want to push more or push too much.
Well, that's it. That's what people don't understand. It's the accountability factor to not be for lack of a better term, be an idiot. It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's the accountability to say, hey, don't do this. Don't go off program and screw up and ruin your peak. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. So
yeah, that's the other thing too with a lot of newcomers, man. Like they hop in a program and they're so quick to jump to the next, trainer or whatever, or coach, because they're not seeing results. It's like, this isn't done tomorrow. It's not like you just see progress the next day. Like you need to stick with this program. That's one thing I see over and over. They're like, oh, I'm not making gains. Well, how long have you been on it for? A month. Well, keep going. You got a long way to go. Or they don't stick to the numbers. I'm like, why are you going off, what's written here? Like, I get it. If you're not feeling good, yeah, obviously nothing's engraved in stone, so dial it back. But that doesn't mean go forward and, add 20 pounds to what you're supposed to be doing. Like, stick to the program. So
it's the whole Instagram era. That's all it is. It's people seeing other lifters on Instagram, wanting to be like them, just like we talked about, and saying, where I'm at is not good enough. I need to be like that guy. So I'm going to try to expedite the process when, in fact, you can't expedite the process. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. Just like I said, it really helps having a coach to help push that and stick the numbers. And that's the one thing I've always been big into, stick to the programming always. And even dial it back if you're not on it that day. So I've done that plenty of times.
I think with anything, even not lifting, if you were doing something else, just having a coach, someone to keep you accountable, someone to run ideas by, someone to learn from, that's huge. So, yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Same thing with yep. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, sir. I didn't want to cut you off.
Same thing with, guys that are getting into running gear for the first time, like they think more is better, and it's not. You got to learn your body. I'm a very firm believer, get blood work done always. I get it done once a year minimum, if not twice, and, check your testosterone, check your estrogen, check your lipid panel. You want to make sure everything's in check, man. More is not better.
I noticed that too, because I tried some crazy cycles where I would go check the dose up, and the point of diminishing return was real. Past about a certain number of tests for me, 750 milligrams or 50 milligrams of Anavar or whatever, I noticed that I wasn't getting any stronger on the extra amounts. So,
yep, exactly. Yeah, more is just not better. You got to find what works for you and stick with it. And I'm a very firm believer in microdosing. It works phenomenal.
Have you ever gotten blood work? What's the highest test level you've ever had?
I'm usually right around 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. That's typically where I go to.
Did you ever hit, though, like a ridiculous number at some point?
Oh, God, yes. I've been over the 2,000 plus mark before, yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to see if anyone's hit, like, 5,000 plus or something. But
very possible. I've never been one to run a shit ton of gear. I just haven't. More gear for me just equals more side effects, and you just get weaker. I try to explain to people, we all have a cup, and you can only fit so much fluid in that cup. You start taking more, it just spills out. What spills out is more side effects, more estrogen. Now you need to take an AI, and AI will dry you out, to weaken you. It's not good for your joints. You hear these guys that are fucking blasting letrozole. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're asking for a problem. So it's been a long career, and I've learned a lot along the ways, man. I hate to see a lot of these newcomers coming along, and they're just clueless, man. They're just throwing anything in the goddamn cup, and they hope to have these awesome outcomes. Like, no, there's a science behind this.
No, it's so true. That's one of the things I've learned. But when you're 20, it's hard to listen to that and not go crazy. And you don't think, less is more. It's a different mindset.
It took me a while to realize it when I was getting blood work. I'm like, wow, I'm doing way better on these lower dosages and more frequent dosages. I'm like, this is great. I love it. Microdosing is awesome. No side effects. Just you utilize everything that you're giving yourself with that, because it's little small hits here, and I loved it, man. It definitely helped me take me to the next level for sure.
Let me ask you, how much do you normally weigh walking around?
I'm literally 240 right now. What I weighed this morning.
Did you compete in the 242 class?
I did. So I weighed in. I was like 245 and had to cut a few pounds. Yeah.
Okay. Because I always remember you as a 220. So.
Yeah. So I used to float between 220, 198, and 242, whatever. If I weighed like 230, I would cut down to 220. And if I was walking around 218 or 212, I would do 198 typically. So after the back injury, though, like my body definitely took off and started growing more after I stopped kind of holding myself back and just let it fill out. So that's the one thing too with dieting and the sauna cuts and using Lasix and all that to do these weight cuts. Dude, those lead to just injuries. Every freaking meet when I was doing those, I was either tearing a pec, a hamstring. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm just glad to kind of walk around where I'm at, just compete where I'm at.
Yeah, everybody wants the weight cut, and they don't realize you're going to zap your strength in all likelihood.
So I would take typically 3% right off the bat and take it off my numbers that I was going to shoot for, right off the bat, just from those weight cuts.
So weight cutting, is it worth it?
It depends what you're trying to achieve. I was chasing an all-time world record at that point, which, if you think about it, kind of sucks, man. Like, all these historic records are being broken with these 24-hour weigh-ins, and some places it's 48. And when my dad was growing up and he was doing this, it was a 2-hour weigh-in, and you had to get weighed that day before the meet. And then if you broke a record, you had to get weighed yourself again. And if you were over your weight class, you didn't get the record. And they'd also weigh the plates too to make sure that they were legit as well. So you have these guys now that are lifting in weight classes they don't belong, that they're cutting down 2 classes or so. And I've heard of some guys doing 30+ pound weight cuts, and it's like, holy shit. Like, you don't belong in that weight class. So, what's the point of weighing in if you're going to be 30 to 40 pounds heavier the next day? Like, I just feel like it really took away from the sport. You have these guys chasing records on that are kind of unachievable. I feel like you have guys that are 250, 260 cutting down to 220. It's like, holy shit, man. Like, that's insane. And now they're bagging up on top of that, which I never knew about this until way later on in the sport about it and hearing about it. And I think it's just taken it really to the extreme at that point.
You're talking about IVs?
Yep.
It's the same with me. Once I learned about it was too late, because I was kind of out of the prime of competing, but I didn't know it was such a big deal. And you could go to an IV clinic after weigh-ins and get like 3 bags and you'll be back to 100% in an hour. Right. I'm like, damn, I was trying to drink all the water back.
Literally, yes. We were doing Pedialyte, and if you do too much Pedialyte the next day, you're shitting your brains out. Like, that didn't work. So, we did it the old school way.
I was the same way. I had to drink all the fluid back with Pedialyte and Gatorade and eat all of it, and I feel like death. You'd be so bloated.
Literally, yes. I just what you mean. Yes. So like I said, I feel like that kind of hurt the sport, man. These 24-hour weigh-ins, and people, these big weight cuts and taking records that typically don't belong to. When people ask what did I weigh when I did the 198 meet, I weighed in around 197. Dude, the next day I was like 218, literally. It's like,
wow.
I
would cut typically from around 253 to 242, and that was not bad. It wasn't too bad. That was really pretty much it. It was really 253.
I feel like definitely the bigger you get, it's a lot easier to cut. 10, 15 pounds here, there. As you're lighter and less dense, I guess you could say, or less muscle mass, it gets harder cutting those weights. So that's where the LASIKs come into play, where they're just pulling everything out of you, and they're nasty. The sauna can only do so much. So I would do sauna, steam room, and I would typically lose about 10 pounds of that, and then throw in the LASIKs, and that would get me where I need to be. But dude, you're cramping up so bad afterwards. It's a shitty feeling.
Well, you know what I would use would actually, I never did LASIKs, but I did lisinopril with hydrochlorothiazide. Okay. So it was a blood pressure medication with hydrochlorothiazide, which is the diuretic. And I think it was 12.5 mgs. That would knock about 3 to 3.5 pounds off me overnight while I slept. I'd sweat a lot in my sleep, but I would get up on the scale the next morning. I would do that the last couple of days before the weigh-in, and I would drop like 3 pounds a night. So that was pretty good. That's what I always used.
Gotcha. There's even guys nowadays use an injectable LASIK, which is crazy.
What do they use?
Injectable LASIK, where you're shooting it up and it's just it'll pull everything out of you. Got to be careful with them. Honestly, they're not to be played with.
Yeah, I mean a lot of that stuff, that and insulin and stuff. It's tricky. So
insulin's great. I have no complaints with insulin. That stuff's phenomenal.
Isn't it dangerous though?
No, I've never had any issues with it, as long as you're not abusing like an idiot. But definitely.
Does it really get? So every time this is an interesting subject. I got to hear about this. So how do you dose it? How do you take it? I know nothing about insulin.
Okay. So typically, if it's like one IU of GH, I'd run it with 1 IU of insulin, and you can even run the insulin by itself. Just enough to give you that extra boost to stuff your nutrients into that cell. You can take it separately or with GH. I've done it both ways. Even like after cutting for a meet, it's great to run it and help put weight back on and, get the nutrients back into that cell.
Do you feel like you got significant strength gains from insulin and GH?
No, recovery-wise, I would say more for healing, if anything. You can definitely put side. If you want to bulk with it, you can definitely bulk with it. It'll take you past your genetic potential for sure if you ran it high enough.
See, that's what I've always heard is that GH and insulin are more a bodybuilding type drug as far as the size. They're not really going to put strength on you.
Yeah. I trying to think of like any major strength of it. And I just always felt really good coming to the workouts, like not banged up. So I think it enables you to push harder in a sense. Okay. Again, I didn't run a shit ton of it either. I wasn't abusing growth like crazy or insulin like a pro bodybuilder would in a sense.
Did you ever feel that joint pain with growth or anything?
No, I don't run a lot of growth. Typically, like I said, on the insulin pen, it'd be at the 20 mark is where I'd typically run it.
Was it Humalog? Was it like short acting or fast or like?
Somatropin or gentropin was I would typically use. And
for your insulin.
Oh, for insulin, I would use Novolin R, which is a fast acting in and out. About 8 hours or so. Oh, you can pick it up at your local Walmart has it for $20 bucks. You can buy the pins there too, so readily available.
Yeah, I always heard that. I think Hickson was telling me about it. Like you go up to the counter and they can't question it because it's a diabetic thing, right?
Yeah, literally, you can walk up. They don't even ask for an ID, nothing. Just they ask how many you want and if you need pins, and it's pretty simple.
Wow, that's freaking crazy.
I'm serious. Yeah.
That is unreal. Very cool, though. All right. I know you got to get going here, so I was trying not to hold you up too long, but I appreciate you coming on.
No worries, Zach. If you ever need me back on, just let me know, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.